Many have attempted to rewrite the story of Romeo and Juliet, but only 3 have done it successfully: High School Musical, Twilight, and Taylor Swift.
I think that the word fearless means that you have a lot of fears. And maybe you're afraid of a lot of things, but you jump anyway.
Are you ready to go back to high school? Did you guys know I put on perfume before filming? Just for you. Hope I smell good. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Ali, and today we are diving deep into the soundtrack of my childhood and one of the greatest albums of all time, Fearless. Yes, I am re-wearing the corset from part 1 of this video because, I mean, look at it. There is nothing else I own that is this beautiful, so I will be getting my money's worth, even though it's secondhand. I did also go and get my nails done in a beautiful Fearless yellow. So if you see me rocking yellow nails for the next month, this is why. Now, if you have seen my other videos where I do a deep dive into the album, usually before Taylor's version comes out to help you guys prepare for it. This one's a little bit different because it's after, but still, you will know I love doing giveaways that are like era specific and really fit that theme. So obviously Fearless being one of my favorite albums, today is no exception. So stay tuned for a very special, exciting giveaway. Also, if you're new here, hi, my name is Ali. It is so lovely to have you here. Whether you have been a fan of Taylor since the beginning or last week, or maybe you're not even a fan yet and you're just here to learn more, it's really nice to have you here with us. I really love having this space to talk about the things that have shaped my life and discussing that with like-minded people. So wherever you are in the world, thank you for being here. To me, the album Fearless is where Taylor really perfected her songwriting craft, and especially the construction of songs. I think her signature diaristic songwriting style was very present on Self-Titled, but her true understanding of like a formula, she really hit the nail on the head this time around. I truly don't know if there has ever been a greater defiance of the sophomore slump. Taylor took what she had done with the first album, Self-Titled, and said, watch me do one better.
Everyone talks about a sophomore,
sophomore slump. Yeah, I mean, but I think that I've always worked really well with pressure. Pressure has always been something that has been sort of a fun challenge. I think that it would worry me if nobody really cared that we were putting out a second album and nobody was going, oh, wonder if she'll fall on her face, wonder if it was a, if it was a one album thing, I think it's really fun when people are watching to see what happens.
Let's not forget that this is the album that was so good critics were sure she couldn't be pulling her weight in the writing rooms and were like, there's no way a teenager is writing these songs, thus prompting Taylor to write Speak Now entirely on her own. Which is very funny to look back at that kind of criticism now, given how famous Taylor is for her songwriting ability. But back then, like, I guess I understand their questioning, because what other teenager could do this? But as we all know, Taylor is very much a songwriter first and everything else second. And in fact, that is the reason Taylor even came up with the whole secret messages concept in the first place, which was essentially the birthplace of her Easter eggs. Everything goes back to that. That was something that very young teenage Taylor decided to do to encourage her fans not only to listen to and enjoy the songs, but also like go home and read through the lyrics, because it's what she was most proud of. So if for some reason you didn't know, in the lyric booklets, all of the letters would be written lowercase, and then random letters, well, not random letters, special certain letters would be uppercase. And if you circled them and wrote them all out like Klaus Baudelaire from A Series of Unfortunate Events, you would get a secret message. So just keep that in mind, because we will be discussing these and how they relate to the songs today.
So if you're reading the lyrics and you're like, why is that A capitalized? It's because it's part of a code. It'll spell out a code about the song, or just, who the song's about, or a name of who the song's about.
Of a certain guy, maybe?
Maybe.
I don't know. You have to go out and buy it, and that's something you can't download.
That is one of my favorite things that Taylor used to do, and I understand why she can't anymore. The media frenzy is just way too much, but God, I wish she would do them again. In fact, I remember when she was announcing Fearless Taylor's version, she did that again for us in the Instagram post, I think it was. She had certain letters capitalized and it spelled out April 9th, and I just remember losing my mind over that because it was such a nice little callback to the original era. As much as I want all of Taylor's songs, like the new re-records right now, I kind of hope she does them like maybe a month or 2 apart, because I want to relish each era, each album. I mean, obviously I think that July 9th, I think Speak Now will come out July 9th. What do you guys think? How far apart do you think they'll be spaced? I just want to have eras again, you know? I want to be able to cherish them. As with all of her albums, Taylor wrote every single song on Fearless, and 7 of them all by herself, which again, I just need to reiterate how young she was at the time. Naturally, I will be including clips throughout this video, and I just want to remind you guys that if you see clips from this one, this was the week that I first saw Taylor perform, and I will never forget how young she felt. Obviously, I still looked up to her because she was years older than me, but looking back now, I'm like, that is a baby, that's a child, and yet she was able to write all of these incredible songs that we're going to discuss today. Once again, I feel the need to re-emphasize that she was the youngest person at the time in history to have won the Grammy for Album of the Year. So yeah, writing all of these songs as a teenager is just truly so impressive to me. Now, this album was made with the help of one of my all-time favorite Taylor Swift collaborators, which is Nathan Chapman, who had also produced Self-Titled. However, this time Taylor joined him as a co-producer. We also had Queen Liz Rose contribute to some of the writing, although she swears that it was mostly Taylor doing the writing and her editing, but we stand nonetheless, as well as Colby Calais. Fearless was classified country pop, unlike Debut, which had been labeled strictly country. So this is where we really start to see her slow shift between the genres. She had hits on both the pop and country charts, and while a lot of people in the country world deemed this album too pop, and a lot of the pop world deemed it too country, personally, as a big fan of both, I think it straddled both genres perfectly.
My approach of this album was not based on pop or country or this age demographic. It was based on me writing songs about boys and telling the stories that have happened in the past 2 years.
So because Taylor had been writing for her debut album since she was 11 or 12, she had such an immense catalogue to pick from, meaning that after she put out Self-Titled, she still had quite a lot of decent songs left over to use for Fearless. For example, a lot of the Fearless vault tracks were actually written in 2005, so technically are actually debut vault track songs, but personally this doesn't bother me at all. It leaves room on the debut vault for songs that I really want to hear. On December 1st, 2006, she gave an interview with CMT and she said, "I've been very selfish with my songs. I had this dream of this project, the debut album, coming out for so many years now that I just stockpiled. I'm so happy I did that because now we have a second album full of songs and a third album full of songs, and I don't need to lift a finger." In addition to Self-Titled and also Beautiful Eyes EP, which you guys probably know about by now, Taylor also had a digital release EP in 2005 called Majorly Indie Demos, which is so ironic given later events.
With some indie record that's much cooler than mine.
In September of 2006, Taylor released a demo acoustic version of Come In With The Rain on MySpace. Once again, shout out to any fellow MySpace users. And we also saw Come In With The Rain being doodled in the Lover Journals back in 2006. Now that article also included this quote, which I love. "It takes about 30 seconds of conversing with Taylor Swift to realize that this excited teenager is also a savvy, no-nonsense careerist. Here is a lady who knows exactly what she wants and is a bullet straight in going for it." That was known about Taylor in 2006, and they weren't wrong. So there was a photo shoot done in 2007 that highlighted Taylor's bedroom at the time. It's such a great time capsule of just like what was in style in this era, but the most important thing to me was the potential Fearless track list written on her mirror in lipstick. So the original Fearless track listing at this time was Permanent Marker, Tell Me Why, I'd Lie, which you guys know how I feel about that song, Fearless, Dark Blue Tennessee, Sparks Fly, and The One Thing. So initially, early on, the album was actually going to be titled The One Thing, which if you didn't know, that was a demo that we'd heard way back from in that era that ultimately got released as Bye Bye Baby.
From the one thing I thought would never leave me.
It's so insane to imagine a world where that was the title track and not Fearless. I do just want to show you guys some other pictures from this shoot because it is so deeply iconic to me. There's just nothing more teenager in 2007 than a flip phone, earrings, and her Bible. Also, her shower curtain was a picture of fans at a show. So very cool, I guess, if you were one of the fans in that picture. Now then, by 2008, a different version of the track list had been announced online. I have a comment from a message board from back in this time that showed the track listing as Change, Fearless, 15, Love Story, Hey Stephen, White Horse, You Belong With Me, Breathe, Tell Me Why, You're Not Sorry, and The Best Day. So that is a lot closer to, you know, the final result that we now know and love. This person added in their comment, "No Sparks Fly, Permanent Marker, or I'd Lie." I'm kind of sad. To that person, Cleveland Rocks. Yeah, we're still waiting for 2 of those. If you want to know more about those songs or why Taylor didn't put them on Fearless, you can watch this video where I explain all of her unreleased songs. But you'll note we also don't have Forever and Always on this track list because it hadn't been written yet. It was a very late addition. And yeah, in case you missed my Speak Now deep dive video, this is a fun reminder that Sparks Fly was written kind of in the debut era and was a song we had to bug Taylor about for years.
Everything that made
before she finally released it on Speak Now. So yes, the wait for All Too Well 10 was long, but I think we had a bit of hope because we'd bullied a song out of her in the past. Well, on that note, I feel like you guys know enough of kind of the backstory here. Before we jump into the songs, I want to share with you this giveaway. Obviously, when I do these, I like to pick things that I think really represent the era, which I think I've done well today. The very first thing I'll be giving you is the Fearless key necklace, just like Taylor wore in this era. It is so quintessentially Fearless to me. I just love it. Next up, I have something to add to your collection, which is the deluxe version of Fearless, as well as Beautiful Eyes. I just figured these are two maybe less common CDs for people to have. For anyone that wasn't a fan back then, or was a fan but couldn't get their hands on these, that could be really fun to add to your collection. This one's a little bit random, but when I saw this, I just thought that's so Fearless. And it is this beautiful mug. Look at that. It's even got a flower on the inside. This is just the most Fearless thing in the world to me. So whether you are a tea or coffee drinker, I guess you could put juice or milk or whatever you want in here. I just thought that was so beautiful. It fits the era so well. I love it. I wanted someone to have this. And finally, my personal favorite is the hand hearts. You can't do the Fearless era without the hand hearts. You can probably see mine right here. Personally, I put my friendship bracelets on it. This could go on, you know, your desk, or I don't know, you could blue tack it in your car if you wanted, but actually that's probably not safe. Don't do that. Don't put it somewhere it'll move. This and this emoji will always represent the Fearless era to me, so it had to be done. So this giveaway is open worldwide. I will ship it to absolutely anywhere. I think I need to say it's not affiliated with YouTube or Instagram or anything at all. It's just from me. So all you have to do to enter is to be subscribed and following me on Instagram. Give the video a like, and finally leave a comment below. Tell me like how and when you became a fan. Doesn't matter when it was or how. I just love hearing these stories. And make sure you include in your comment your Instagram handle so I can contact you. That giveaway ends 13 days from when this goes live. A winner will be randomly selected and notified on Instagram. Good luck everyone, and thank you for letting me do such cool things like this. It is such a joy. All right, well, let's get into these songs. First up we have Fearless.
I write a lot of songs about love. Love seems like this huge, complicated thing, but it seems like every once in a while, two people get it figured out. Two people get it right. And so I think the rest of us, we walk around daydreaming about what that might be like. To find that one great love, where all of a sudden everything that used to seem so complicated became simple. And everything that used to seem wrong all of a sudden seemed right because you were with the person who made you feel fearless.
I lost my entire mind when this was included on the Fearless set in the Eras tour. I know what it meant to me, but like I never in my wildest dreams could have assumed that Taylor would put it on the set list. And like not only included, but opened the set. Oh my God. I still get chills thinking about it. It just meant so much to me because I'm sure hand selecting songs for each era had to be impossible. That is an impossible task. So the fact that this made the cut of just 3 songs to represent that era, obviously Love Story and You Belong With Me were going to be on there. No brainer. Fearless? When she came out and we heard the opening notes to Fearless, the song, I had immediate goosebumps. I think because I was expecting to hear like You Belong With Me and Love Story. Fearless to me feels a little bit forgotten, like Fearless the song, and that has always been one of my favorite songs. Not only that, but it's the opening song to like one of my favorite albums, the album that raised me. So hearing those opening notes and seeing her skip out with the sparkly guitar and the gold fringe dress, I felt like I was 13 again. It was great. To me, even more than Love Story and You Belong With Me, it has always just been that song. Just like how Speak Now being the name for her 3rd album really kind of represents every single song, I think Fearless is the exact same. You know, it represents the album so perfectly because every song on here, regardless of the message or the story, is told in a bold and honest way, including this song about the fearlessness of falling in love. Taylor said, no matter how many breakup songs you write, no matter how many times you get hurt, you will always fall in love again. Which after hearing songs like The Prophecy, I needed to hear that. She said, when I wrote Fearless, I wasn't dating anyone. I wasn't even in the beginning stages of dating anybody. I really was all by myself on tour, and I got this idea for a song about the best first date. I think sometimes when you're writing love songs, you don't write them about what you're going through at that moment. You write about what you wish you had. So this song is about the best first date I haven't had yet. And Taylor would sing this live a fair bit way before the album was released.
It's a brand new one called Fearless. Y'all have to tell me if you like it. It's about the best first date I haven't had yet. We're driving down the road. I wonder if you know I'm trying so
I just still can't get over how young she was when she wrote this. These opening notes. Is anyone else not able to hear this song now without picturing Taylor at the Eras tour?
There's something about the way the street looks when it's just rain.
And you know what? She was right. There is something about the way the street looks when it's just rain. And I think about this song every time I see the ground when it's just rain outside. Her impact. Dare I say something incredibly bold and brave here? This is one of the best bridges of all time.
You put me in and I'm a little more free. Really something, it's fearless.
One of my favorite lines from this song, so simple. Absent-mindedly making me want you.
Absent-mindedly making me want you.
So simple, yet so perfect. That lyric in particular was definitely my MSN status at one point. Even though I grew up in like a big city in Melbourne, Australia, I've always really loved the way Taylor sings about her small town upbringing, which is very common in country music. But like on this song we get, so baby drive slow till we run out of road in this one-horse town. Now I want to live in a one-horse town. And I don't think I even knew what that meant at the time. Side note, I don't know if I've mentioned this on here, but I am actually going to America. By the time you see this, I will be in America, which is so exciting. If Taylor would like to give me a debut summer, you know, I will be visiting the South for a little bit. That could be fun. I'm literally editing this on the plane right now. So hi plane me. Hope you're having a good flight. And I wanted to share with you guys something that makes the biggest difference to me personally when taking flights. I used to be someone that hated them, dreaded flying. It was kind of just like a means to an end that I had to endure. Now I really look forward to it. And I wanted to take a second to thank today's video sponsor, which is Loop earplugs. You guys already know about my Loop experience, which is these guys. These will be worn to my upcoming Jensen McRae concert and any other summer events that might pop up. These I feel like people don't necessarily know about, and they just make such a difference. Specifically designed for sleep, they have a completely different design to the other loops. The Loop experience are nice and solid and firm. These are so soft. They're made of silicone and memory foam. Perfect for side sleepers like myself, but also perfect for like resting your head on the plane. If you sleep next to someone who snores, or maybe you work night shift and have to nap during the day, if you struggle to fall asleep or stay asleep, these are such a godsend. And like all Loop products, they also come with different sizes, so you can switch them out for whatever fits you best. I was gonna make a joke about different sizes, but I don't think the brand would appreciate that. But yeah, personally, I'm about to spend the next month on planes, trains, buses, and sleeping next to my friends. So you better believe I have my Loop dreams packed. They have very kindly given me a discount code to share with you guys. So you can use LoopX-Ali for 15% off. Just kidding. They told me they're giving you 20% off now. So enjoy that. Thank you, Loops. So I will leave that link below. And thank you again, Loop, for working with me. This is just a company I believe in so much. They make such incredible products that are doing good in the world. So I love you guys. Thank you. And let's get back into it. But yeah, Taylor said it on this song. I don't know how it gets better than this. And that's literally how I feel about this album. It's just perfect. The secret message on this song is I loved you before I met you, which is so beautiful to me. It's like anyone that has ever been told about how to manifest your future soulmate or partner, you didn't know you have to write in like future tense or past. I can't remember how to say this, but you say it as if it's already happened. So you would address it to that future person and you would say, this is what I love about our life. I love this about you and how we interact. And here she's saying like, I don't know this person yet. I haven't had this first date yet, but I'm gonna love it when I do. It reminds me of songs like Dear No One by Tori Kelly, or dare I say Love Song for No One by John Mayer, or like a lot of Hunter Hayes songs, just very beautiful and descriptive, even though they're not about a specific person. That's talent. Next up we have 15.
I think when you first step into the doors of high school and you walk in and there are seniors and juniors and sophomores and then there's you, freshmen.
You take a deep breath and you walk through the doors. It's the morning of your very first day.
You think you're all alone. When you're 15, you think that you're the only person in the world feeling this way. You're not.
I love this song so much because Taylor took high school reality, which can be a terrifying, scary, traumatizing place, but also added in a little bit of like Hollywood romanticism. This was written in 2007 when Taylor was 17, reflecting back on a snapshot of freshman year in high school, which for us in Australia would be year 9, so our 3rd year of high school. It always trips me out that Americans do like 3 different lots of school. Yeah, I can imagine this would be a hard age to start high school. The music video for this is, let's just say, unique. If you guys would ever like me to tier rank all of Taylor's music videos, let me know. But the inspiration for this song came from one particular lyric. The first thing Taylor ever wrote for it was, Abigail gave everything she had to a boy who changed his mind. Taylor said, I wrote everything else from that point almost backwards. I decided I really wanted to tell the story of our first year of high school because I felt in my freshman year I grew up more than any other year in my life so far. Now I could be way off with this interpretation, but when I heard those lyrics as a kid, I kind of inferred that that meant Abigail gave everything emotionally in a relationship, but also physically, and the part following that said, you know, he changed his mind afterwards felt like a real loss of like not being able to get that part of yourself back, or maybe just regretting sharing that part of yourself with someone who didn't really care in the end.
I remember when I first played the song for Abigail, I was really nervous because I didn't know if she would be okay with me telling her story like that. It's really a personal song, especially from her angle of it.
People always ask me, they're like, does it bother you that your name's in a song that's so personal? And it really doesn't. I mean, just because the way Taylor and I feel about it is if one girl can, you know, kind of learn from it or connect to a song like that, then it's totally worth it.
He's being too polite. He needs to be the really over-aggressive one. I feel like he would be the one taking advantage of her. It's so weird when that's your best friend out there. You know, I'm not gonna like run up and be like, Roman, can you tell him to make out with her more?
Do another one, a little more aggressive.
I've talked a bit about purity culture in the 2000s on my channel before, and how girls were told, you know, virginity was a virtue back then. You know, if that was the case and that was what this lyric was referring to, that would have been a very, very challenging time, especially only at 15. Your self-worth at 15 can be shattered so easily, but to me, the most important line in the song comes directly after that, which is, and we both cried. I'm like getting I'm getting goosies a little bit and tearing up.
Abigail gave everything she had to a boy who changed his mind. We both cried.
That is just such a beautiful depiction of what friendship is like. Best friendship, especially. That's a whole different thing to just friendship, obviously. If you know, you know. But a best friend at that age it's your soulmate. You know, it's like a soul sister. It's different to anything else. And when that person suffers, you suffer too. When we're 15, your friends are your whole world. So something happens to your friends, it happens to you too. Both the wins and the losses. And that is what is really beautiful about high school.
I think I can handle it. The only hard part would be actually forming tears.
She was crying, but she had like, they were putting eye drops in her eyes because she's, you know, she's got a boyfriend. She's really happy. It's hard for her to cry. And so we were hugging, and like when she backed up, I noticed there were all these tears literally on my shoulder. Check that out. There are tears on my shoulder. So I actually was a shoulder to cry on. After a few takes of the crying, Abigail and I could not stop laughing because it just became kind of funny. Like, it was this really long, awkward hug. We've never hugged that long, ever, in our entire friendship. It's never come to that.
I always loved the line, in your life, you'll do things greater than dating the boy on the football team.
In your life, you'll do things greater than dating the boy on the football team. I didn't know it at 15.
Because honestly, yeah, a lot of people do need a reminder at that age. I'm sure this is something that's way worse in America. My school didn't really have cliques and popularity stuff like I see depicted in movies, which looks horrific, so I'm sorry if that is the reality. When all of these external factors are telling you that being popular or dating the boy on the football team is what matters, it's really nice to hear, you know, your kind of like friend next door Taylor Swift on her album reminding you that it's not true. Did she go on to date the boy on the football team? Yes, but she's done greater things in her life. That's the important part.
In your life, you'll do things greater than dating the boy on the football team. I didn't know it at 15.
So I think it's really sweet that it has, yes, come full circle now. It's a very cute like movie moment that she is now dating the boy on the football team, but totally besides that, she has created an entire legacy. And I think that's something Taylor has talked about a fair bit across her career, is that like if she was popular and had all these great friends in high school, she wouldn't have gone home writing songs about how isolated and alone she felt because of this bullying and exclusion.
Looking back at being 15, I wouldn't have changed anything. If I had been popular, I would have been perfectly content with staying where I was, and I wouldn't have wanted to go anywhere outside of my bubble where I was comfortable and happy. It just wasn't the cool thing to be trying to do anything different. And I think that that caused me to spend a lot of time alone, and spending a lot of time alone gave me a lot of time to think, and having a lot of time to think allowed me to write songs.
At 15,
If you have something about yourself that's different, you're lucky. It's not a curse. Don't make high school everything, because if high school is everything, then you've got a long life to live. And I'd like to think that the best years of my life are still ahead of me.
So essentially, just a reminder that like peaking in high school doesn't usually work out so well in the long run. And I feel like Taylor is probably very grateful for those experiences because they are what gave her that push and that drive to like make something of herself and get out of there. Whereas if you were a little bit more comfortable, you might not have that same drive in this. And like, again, goosebumps, same girl. I cried talking about this. Forever such a beautiful song. And I think it's a real love letter to Abigail. The friendship that they had reminds me so much of the friendships I had with my friends at that time. You could tell from all of their videos back in the day, it was like the vibe of we don't need anyone else. We know we're not cool, but it's okay because we have each other. Taylor actually sang this song at the Grammys with Miley Cyrus when Miley was 15.
and then you're on your very first date, and he's got a car, and you're feeling like flying.
And while I love both of these women individually and think they are both amazing vocalists, for some reason I don't think their voices blended that well. So when people say they want Taylor to release You'll Always Find Your Way Back Home but featuring Miley, I mean, A, we have Miley's version, so I'm like, I don't really need Miley on a second version, but B, I also just think Taylor would sound better shining on her own. Next up, we have a very underground, not very well-known song called Love Story.
I just really like to write songs about boys, and this is a song that I wrote about a boy who I liked, but my parents didn't. I remember screaming something like, "But Daddy, I love him!" running out and storming into my room and slamming the door. And then I sat down on the floor and wrote this song. So thank you for rewarding that behavior.
Like the time she was 17 years old, and her dad and I strongly disapproved of a certain young man, and rightfully so. But she was mad, she was real mad, and she went to her room and she closed the door, and she came out about an hour later with a song called Love Story.
Now, this is one of my favorite things that Taylor does throughout her entire discography, but taking a concept or a story and flipping it. I mean, I just did a whole video talking about this with the Tortured Poets department and all of the different literary references that album has that like nobody seems to talk about. But you know, she's done it with Romeo and Juliet, Cinderella, Clara Bow, Stevie Nicks, The Great Gatsby. She's able to weave these references through her work, but change the story if she wants to.
The one thing that drove me crazy about that story is that those two people didn't end up together. It always bothered me that they had to die, that they didn't end up running away together and having a wonderful love story that ended happily, dying in each other's arms when they were 80. That's how it should have ended, I think. So I decided to maybe just for one song, change the ending up a little bit.
I just love that she kind of looked at Shakespeare and was like, look, I like the foundation of what you have going on, but I am gonna fix the ending.
I was hoping that it would be okay if I played a new song for you guys. I've never played this before. I hope you like it. It's called Love Story.
We were both young when I first saw you.
So obviously this song is about forbidden love, and Taylor had been hanging out with a guy and introduced him to her parents, and essentially they were like, no way, like you're not dating him. So in response to that, Taylor went to her room and wrote pretty much all of this song in 20 minutes, which is just insane to think about. Such a career-changing, career-defining song happened in 20 minutes. 1 minute it didn't exist, and then 20 minutes later, Love Story was born. The first line she wrote for this song was, "This love is difficult, but it's real," and then everything kind of came from there. Honestly, there are a lot of songs in Taylor's discography that share a similar theme to this.
Seems like there's always someone who disapproves. They'll judge it like they know about me and you. They stand the door, my whole world. The one thing I wanted, God knows it's one I love.
Clearly Similarly, Taylor made a very obvious parallel to this song on But Daddy I Love Him, also about wanting to be with someone that others don't approve of and are decidedly making that known. But in that case, the daddy in question was obviously some very vocal fans or people that wanted to say what they wanted to say. Or similarly on Speak Now, we had Ours, which if you guys remember from my Speak Now deep dive, Taylor sang that directly to the muse, kind of saying like, I know everyone else doesn't want us to be together, but I don't care what they say. Here, I wrote you this song.
The story of this song called Ours, where I wrote it about this guy that nobody thought I should be with, and so I wrote this song specifically just to play it for him and just to show him like, I don't care what anyone says. I don't care that you have tattoos. I don't care that you have a gap between your teeth. Like, I love you for who you are.
Which again, when we know who that song is about, is kind of horrific to think about, but it doesn't take away from the artistry. Now, we know that this wasn't the last song written for the album because that is another song coming up. You guys probably already know, but I do think this was like close to the end because Taylor has said it was incredibly last minute. Just days after Taylor had taken that 20-minute writing session on her bedroom floor to write this song, she had a writing session with Craig Wiseman. She brought Love Story to him and said like, can we finish this together? And he said no, and they ended up working on a different song that I don't think was ever released. Imagine missing out on writing credits for Love Story. Poor Craig Wiseman. Now, from that forum I mentioned earlier, I wanted to share some other comments that were posted in response to Taylor Nation, who back then were known as the Taylor Nation, sharing a 1 minute 30-second snippet of Love Story. So this was before the album's release. At this point we had only heard Change because Change was a promotional song for the Olympics, but I just laughed so hard seeing this comment about Love Story. No shade to this person, Haley, but on September 3rd, 2008, they said, it's alright. It'll have to grow on me. And like, honestly, it probably did. This other commenter said, not her best, but definitely a song that will reach the top of the country charts. It's a decent song and I have high hopes for the album. I mean, you guys know that with music for me, things often have to grow on me, so I'm not judging that opinion at all. It's just so funny to think about one of like the biggest hits of all time, that being the initial response. I mean, we've kind of seen that with Tortured Poets as well, how initially when it came out, the whole world was kind of like, what is this stupid album? It's terrible. And then 1 year later, people are finally waking up to how good it is. One of my favorite things that Taylor does throughout her discography is kind of doing references and callbacks to other songs or similar meanings and themes. And we get a callback to Love Story on the Reputation album with Call It What You Want.
Romeo, save me. I've been feeling so alone. You don't need to save me, but would you run away with me?
It has never been confirmed by Taylor who this song was written about, obviously, but it was heavily rumored to have been written for Martin Johnson, the lead singer of Boys Like Girls. You might remember that name from part 1 in this series, as he co-wrote with Taylor one of the greatest songs of all time, You'll Always Find Your Way Back Home. And Taylor also featured on a Boys Like Girls song, 2 is Better Than 1. I will say this was a pretty iconic time for like collaboration and overlap. You know, Taylor and Martin wrote together and then she was on a Boys Like Girls song. Taylor did Half of My Heart with John Mayer and had him perform live with her. But then obviously we have songs like Ours and Dear John, or you have Taylor's feature on the Jonas Brothers, I want to say Burning Up tour. There was just a lot of romantic musical collaboration. So somewhere during the last few weeks of September 2008, Drama Queen, co-written with Martin Johnson, was written and recorded. This is one of my all-time favorite unreleased songs. This is a big statement. I struggled to pick if I could only have Better Than Revenge or Drama Queen. That's how much I love it. It was then mastered along with the rest of the Fearless songs, plus another re-recording of Revenge, which also slaps. And since that song was like officially mastered, it's considered an outtake and not a demo. Side note and fun fact, along with I'd Lie, Drama Queen and Revenge are the only 3 unreleased songs to have been mastered. You know how all of us were kind of confused that I'd Lie wasn't released and we always just assumed it was a song that we like officially had? It's because it was properly recorded, so it sounded legit. But anyway, Taylor and Martin hung out a lot during this time. I think it's pretty understandable to see why her family was concerned because he was 23 and she was still just like a young teenage girl. When a fan asked Taylor Taylor what Love Story was about, she said, "Love Story is actually about a guy that I almost dated. But when I introduced him to my family and my friends, they all said they didn't like him. All of them. For the first time, I could relate to that Romeo and Juliet situation where the only people who wanted them to be together was them. That's the most romantic song I've ever written, and it's not even about a person I really dated." One of my favorite things about this song is that the entire conflict throughout the lyrics is that her parents forbid it, right? Like, my daddy said, stay away from Juliet. And yet in the bridge, all of the conflict is resolved by just saying, "I talked to your dad, go pick out a white dress." Were you not talking to him already? Is that why we had this issue? The music video for this song was obviously also incredibly iconic and featured Miley's maybe at the time boyfriend, Justin Gaston. And here is a very cool statistic that I learned. Both the original Love Story and the 2021 re-recording Love Story Taylor's version hit #1 on Billboard's Hot Country Songs chart. The only other artist to pull off having an original and a remake top the chart, Dolly Parton. I know Love Story is like one of the biggest songs of her entire career, but I still kind of marvel at it. I think her ability to take a real life situation and romanticize it, dramatize it, craft these characters in this narrative is something that she does so well. And it's something that we see from her first album right up to her latest. And I think songs like this are what really drew me into her, because she's just such a hopeless romantic. Despite all of the sass and pain and like revenge kind of on the debut album, ultimately Taylor was always looking for, longing for, and believing in love. While many other people would not dare to change the ending to one of the world's most famous stories, Taylor Swift said, yeah, I will actually. I'll give them a happy ending. Our secret message for Love Story is, someday I'll find this. Next up we have Hey Stephen.
Hey Stephen, I know this can be deceiving, but I know I saw a light in you.
When people try to make the argument that Taylor couldn't write a meaningful song about a relationship that was like short-lived, which is a comment I get a lot. People say, you know, the Red songs can't be about Jake, they only dated for X many months, or Maddie Healy, or whatever. I will point you in the direction of like half her early discography, which were written about people she had never dated, including this song.
If we have any boys in the audience tonight, I have to warn you that if I have a 5-minute conversation with you, I'm probably gonna write a song about you.
A lot of people incorrectly misattribute this song to Stephen Colletti, the star of the White Horse music video and My One Tree Hill King, but that is not correct. So Taylor herself said, "There was this guy who opened a couple of shows for me on tour and I talked to him a couple of times, but he never knew I liked him." The secret message here is Love and Theft, which is the name of one of the bands that came on tour with Taylor, and one of those band members being Stephen Barker Lyles.
That Hey Stephen song was about you?
Yeah. The first tour we ever did, it was like she was just about to release the Fearless album, so we like went on her first tour and she wrote a song about me. We got close and it was cool. It's a nice song. I mean,
I don't even know that I've ever heard it.
It's like the nicest song you could write about somebody. Yeah, so that was cool.
I know people think Taylor is really cryptic, but like with songs like Dear John, Style, Hey Stephen, some of the time it's just right there. The night the album came out at midnight, Taylor texted Stephen and said, "Hey, track 4.
And I like them to be like really personal and detailed and stuff like that. So sometimes I mention names, a lot of times I mention actual events. I'm a big fan of being very obvious and detailed and personal with my songs. It's something I like to do just personally for albums. Put a song on the album where somebody's name is mentioned and they have no idea that they're a song now. There's a song on the album called Hey Stephen where I'm doing that. This guy has no clue. And it's going to be really interesting when November 11th rolls around to get that reaction.
You have just got to respect the ovaries on this woman. I love the confidence. There's this really beautiful power in telling someone else how you feel, especially when you don't really care about the outcome. She wrote this song to write this song. It wasn't about like, I'm writing this so that he'll be in love with me back. It was just like, hey, you inspired this great song. Thanks, check it out. And Stephen at the time was asked by a magazine how he felt about the song, and he said, I hadn't heard it yet, so she told me about the song. But she didn't say like, hey, I wrote a nice song for you, so I'm thinking, what did I do? Because she doesn't really write many nice songs about guys. So I was very relieved when it turned out to be a nice song, and it's actually one of the nicest things anybody's ever done for me. Unsurprisingly, being a musician, or tortured poet, if you will, Stephen also wrote a song for Taylor. There is some discourse online saying that he wrote this before he had even heard Hey Stephen, which definitely could be true, but it was released a year after that. So Stephen's song is called Try to Make It Anyway, and I just want to read you the opening line. The curly hair and cowboy boots. How could anyone get over you?
Your curly hair and your cowboy boots. How could anyone get over you? 'cause I can't help it when I look at you.
Now, I just love when people write songs about Taylor and include such specific details. I mean, Adam Young literally put her name in the song. Joe Jonas said teardrops on her guitar.
Now I'm done with Superstar and all the tears on her guitar.
Harry wrote about how she had transformed his opinion on the number 13 and how it can be lucky.
Carried you across the way and you showed me that 13 can be good. I'm trouble with you.
John Mayer wrote You're Like 22 Girls in One, which, you know, isn't really the best reference, but he tried. And I'm sure Calvin Harris has done something too, but I don't care enough to look into his music. Ultimately, this is just a beautiful song about having a crush on someone. It always made me feel kind of similar to how I'd Lie did, in the sense that I was like, well, I want to have a crush on someone who's born on the 17th, whose sister's beautiful and he has his father's eyes, or someone named Steven. So I could relate to these songs better. Fun fact, as I was listening to this album as a kid, my 3 favorite songs were Fearless, Tell Me Why, and Hey Steven. So, taste. But I'll also share one of my favorite stories about this song. So back in an interview, Taylor said, we were recording at John and Martina McBride's studio, aka Blackbird Studios in Nashville. And he was like, my kids are here and they're dying to meet you. Do you think you could say hi to them? I said, sure, have them come in and hang out while we're recording. So his daughters and their friends from school, there was about 10 of them in there, they came into the studio when we were recording Hey Steven and loved it. They were all singing along with it by the end of it. The children ended up snapping their fingers on the song. Now, I don't know if that's credited. I will have to look into that, but like, what an incredible story to be like, oh, I was hanging out at my friend's house. Taylor Swift was there and she put us on one of her new tracks. Lyrics in this song definitely continue the kind of fairy tale storytelling that Taylor weaves throughout this album. All the girls tossing rocks at your window, I'll be the one waiting there even when it's cold. And then my favorite switch up of that lyric towards the end, all those other girls, well, they're beautiful, but would they write a song for you? Poetry. It's just so good. Like, she's acknowledging and even praising her competition. But hang on, there is this little one trick I have up my sleeve. Does that impress you? And by the way, you're actually listening to it right now. The thesis statement for this song is definitely that lyric. All those other girls, well, they're beautiful, but would they write a song for you? Okay, and now we have track 5, White Horse.
Obviously, what happened in order for me to write this song was, you know, a guy strayed and I cried.
What's crazy is that this song was almost not on Fearless. Taylor felt like she had the right amount of sadness already on this album and like didn't need any more sad, slow songs. So was gonna push it to be on Speak Now, which is crazy to me because it is obviously such a Fearless song. But I also don't feel like the album outside of White Horse was like overly sad. It definitely wasn't too sad, but The Day Was Saved, as it so often is, by Miss Shonda Rhimes. She had requested it to be on Grey's Anatomy. Taylor went into the studios and played it for Shonda and Betsy Beers. They loved it and they put it in an episode. Now, this was a capital B, capital D, big deal.
Playing my song Grey's Anatomy.
Taylor was, and maybe still is, but definitely was a huge Grey's Anatomy fan. Weren't we all in the 2010s? But yeah, to the point where one of Taylor's biological children is named after Meredith Grey. I was going to question what would the track 5 have been, you know, if not for White Horse, but I don't think the concept of a track 5 really existed until this kind of solidified the pattern. So it wouldn't really have mattered that much. Now, this song was written just weeks after Love Story and kind of serves as a follow-up to that exact message. It is like about the disillusionment of a relationship. It's the harsh come down. It is reality setting in when you realize someone isn't quite what you thought they were.
When I was younger, I used to read fairy tales, and I used to think that when you grow up, you meet Prince Charming and he's everything you wanted him to be. And when you read fairy tales, the bad guy is always very clearly marked and easy to spot. And he's always wearing like a black cape or something.
then you grow up. And when you grow up, you realize that Prince Charming isn't as easy to find as you thought. And that the bad guy isn't wearing a black cape at all. He's really funny, and he has perfect hair. And I really just should have been looking in Australia. So you're sorry that face of an angel comes out just when you need it to.
There are kind of two theories when it comes to this song, because it obviously could directly follow Love Story and that muse and that relationship. You know, Taylor had said the guy from the previous song reminded her of fairy tales and Prince Charming, and here we see the moment that she realizes that isn't really true. But I will tell you my other theory when we get to it. So after writing the first verse of this song, Taylor called up Dream Woman Liz Rose, and they finished it in 45 minutes. Maybe I just have no concept of like what it takes to write a song, but to think that some of the world's most impactful songs in Taylor's career were written in under an hour still astounds me. Like, in less than the time of this video, one of the most painfully beautiful, heartbreaking songs was written. So beautiful, in fact, that it won Taylor her first Grammy. Thank God Shonda saved this song and Taylor didn't push it to speak now, because just think, this is one of those cases where everything happens for a reason. This was Liz's first Grammy too, which is just so beautiful and exciting that they got to share that. If you can't tell, I really miss them collaborating. So at the 2010 Grammy Awards, Taylor took home Best Country Singer in the pre-televised section, I'm pretty sure.
This is my first Grammy, you guys! I live in awe of the people that I was nominated against in this category. I live in awe of my producer, Nathan Chapman. Thank you to anyone who decided that it might be a good idea to vote for me for this, because I'm so happy. Thank you so much.
She also won Best Female Country Vocal for this same song.
Liz Rose and I co-wrote this song together, and she started writing songs with me when she had absolutely no reason to do so. I didn't have a record label. I didn't have anything to offer her, but so glad that she wrote songs with me anyway.
Before, of course, then taking home also Best Country Album and the coveted Album of the Year.
Taylor Swift, Nathan Chapman and Taylor Swift.
Featured artist, Colby Calais.
All written as a teenager, mind you. Her impact. So it is interesting that this comes just a couple of songs after Love Story. You know, a fairy tale romance dream of what love could be. Because in White Horse, Taylor goes on to completely shatter that illusion, flips the words on their head. She says, I'm not a princess, this ain't a fairy tale. Therefore kind of admitting that as much as she wished that relationship or her life could be like the one depicted in Love Story, the reality feels a lot more like this. I mean, the line, I was a dreamer before you went and let me down, kind of parallels back to Cold As You, another track 5. You'll come away with a great little story of a mess of a dreamer with the nerve to adore you. Such a slept on song, by the way. I cannot wait for debut Taylor's version to come out for people to see how great that is. But yeah, I think Taylor really, really believed in true love. And I mean that in like, yes, a soulmate sense, but also kind of in the beautiful nature that we see in like movies, you know? And same. I think that all changed when this boy let her down and broke her heart. As we know, a white horse is a symbol in fairy tales as like a white knight or a man kind of coming in to save the day. Basically a savior. So by saying it's too late for you and your white horse to catch me now, she's kind of saying even if you were that beautiful, bold, honest, great white knight riding in on a stallion to win my heart or save the day, now I'd still say no. By the end, Taylor changes the narrative that she does so well. It's no longer I'm not a princess, but I'm not your princess.
'Cause I'm not your princess, this ain't a fairy tale. I'm gonna find someone someday who might actually treat me well.
Which I kind of like, sort of reclaiming the narrative here, being like, I actually am still a princess, just not yours. This is one of my all-time favorite things that Taylor does in her songwriting. I'm sure I've talked about it a million times already. Yeah, when she just seamlessly changes one lyric or the perspective or the tense, and suddenly the whole story is fresh. I mean, even just the detail in Dear John, from don't you think I was too young to don't you think 19's too young? Let me know your favorite like slight Taylor Swift lyric change. So the second perspective of what this song might have been inspired by, if it wasn't about about the same person that Love Story was for is that it was likely about one of her first boyfriends, Sam Armstrong, who was a boy that cheated on her while she was on radio tour. For example, the secret message on Should Have Said No is just Sam, 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 Sam in all caps. So we do know that a couple of tracks are about him, and he has talked about this to like fans and media. So he seems kind of proud by that fact, but given that he was the only person that we knew had cheated on her, it's definitely possible that this could be about him, especially if we think about the original lyrics. On the original demo, the lyrics said, "I was never exactly what you wanted, now I know. Begging for me just like I always wanted to see," which I think really ties into You're Not Sorry, but we'll get there. The secret message on this song is all I ever wanted was the truth. Now, when Taylor's talked about this song, she said this was about a person that she thought was great, but would slowly learn more and more details and information about secrets he was hiding. It kind of makes sense. One of my favorite callbacks to this song comes years later. So on White Horse, she obviously says, "They're in my rearview mirror, disappearing now," which, side note, what a beautiful way to say like, I'm moving forward, I'm moving on, you're in my past, you won't be in my future. But then on Long Story Short, she says, "I always felt I must look better in the rear view," which uses that similar metaphor, but now applying it to herself. Next up, we have track 6, You Belong With Me.
You're on the phone with your girlfriend, she's upset. She's going off about something that you said. She doesn't get your humor like I do.
Honestly, this song might be a Speak Now Vault track because it is timeless. Can we just take a moment for this track run so far? This is an insane lineup to have. I mean, there is a reason this won Album of the Year. I know that Love Story kind of became the face of this album in this era, but I would argue that at the time, You Belong With Me was just as big, if not bigger, especially in Australia. This song hits so hard. Taylor would often open her shows with this song with that incredible, iconic costume change.
With me.
I know when I've shared pictures from like my first little Taylor show, people were like, why was she in jeans on stage? I've never seen Taylor wear jeans. They were in fact even better, tearaway jeans. Taylor injecting little personality things like that into the show is definitely part of what made her so successful, and especially what made young teenagers like myself love her so much. But I mean, this song, she nailed the recipe. The melody, the lyrics, the hook, and everyone loves an underdog story. This was another song that Taylor wrote with Liz Rose. I think she was getting towards the end of making the album and was like, hey, I need something a little bit more upbeat still. I have this song kind of half written. Can I bring it to you? This was on a Friday. On the Sunday, they wrote it together.
It was co-writing, but it was a lot of editing. It was a lot of writing down and trying to capture that brilliance as it was coming out of her, because she just is a stream of consciousness. She came in with the idea about her friend had told her this story, and his girlfriend was calling, and it wasn't that she had a crush on the guy. She just used it as the idea for the song. And when I hear the work tape, I hear the production and the stop and the clap, and she was hearing all that when we were writing it. And then she called me and said, "We cut it and it's amazing," and I was like, "We just wrote it and that's cool. Okay."
This is another phenomenal song, also not written about a relationship that Taylor experienced. It was inspired by overhearing one of her bandmates, I think it was Grant Michelson, on the phone to his then girlfriend, kind of copping an earful and being slightly abused and just having a bit of a toxic dynamic. And she thought, there's something there.
I was walking past one of my guy friends, and he was on the phone with his girlfriend, and she was yelling at him like really loudly in the phone. I mean, I could hear her voice yelling at him from across the room, and she was on the phone. And I felt so bad for him because I was like, don't be with her. She's mean to you. Like, she's being ridiculously mean. And so I walked past and I started humming to myself. I started singing in my head, "You're on the phone with your girlfriend. She's upset." And I was like, that could be something. And so I went back to my tour bus, picked up my guitar, and wrote the first verse. It's so funny to look back on the inspiration point of these songs, and then what they go on to become is crazy to me.
When you think about it, this song is absolutely just a pop version of Invisible from the first album. Think about the lyrics to that song. She can't see the way your eyes light up when you smile, and you can't see me wanting you the way you want her, but you are everything to me. I just want to show you she don't even know you. She's never gonna love you like I want to, and you just see right through me, but if you only knew me, we could be a beautiful, miracle, unbelievable instead of just invisible. It is the exact same story, just told with slightly catchier lyrics, lyrics and a pop beat, I want to say a word in defense of Pick Me Girls because this is arguably, in fact, not even arguably, like decidedly the Pick Me anthem.
Hey, what you doing with a girl like that?
But also a nod to our originator, Meredith Grey.
So pick me. Choose me. Love me.
My opinion is, if you have feelings for someone, you can let them know and then they can decide what to do with that information, right? So if you see someone being mistreated or in a toxic relationship, I don't know, I kind of think it's fair. I feel like it's fair for her to say, hey, just if you were interested, there is this second option if you wanted it. I'm over here. In Australian netball terms, it's like saying, here if you need. That person has no obligation to leave their partner or act on it, but it's kind of fair to put your hat in the ring, right? The issue that most people take with this song is the notion of being not like other girls, which I totally understand. That's a theme that we've discussed many a time on this channel, but it is important to look at the song through a 2010 lens rather than 2025 lens, because back then, being not like other girls, while yes, might have been rooted in internalized misogyny, hyperfemininity was very big in the 2000s. So the 2010s was kind of the counterculture to that, like a swing in the opposite direction. It meant that at this time, to be a little bit dorky, not really having any friends in high school, feeling like you're on the outside, this character that Taylor created ultimately just felt jealous of that cheerleader, right? In saying that, something I do like to reflect on is the demonization of femininity in this era. Like if you think about like this music video or Pink's music video for Stupid Girls, here the cheerleader is depicted, as it is in so many like 2000s movies, as shallow, bitchy, and overall like more girly than kind of the lead protagonist that gets the guy in the end. Regardless of the gender roles and the messaging, Taylor played both of these two parts flawlessly. I don't think it's controversial for me to say that this music video is one of the greatest of all time. So good, in fact, that it won the fan voted award Best Music Video at the 2009 VMAs. And thankfully, nothing dramatic at all happened in response to that. It was a very casual evening that I'm sure Taylor doesn't even remember. A fun fact, if you didn't know, this music video was filmed at Austin, Taylor's brother's high school, and it starred my cowboy boyfriend, Travis Brody. And you guys probably know this, but the Junior Jules t-shirt, which now is very famous to be worn at concerts and also was back in the day, I'm pretty sure I have worn one back then, was Taylor's fiddle player Caitlin's actual real band t-shirt. So shout out to the real Junior Jules. That must have been so cool for them to like get in a Taylor Swift music video. Our secret message here is love is blind, so you couldn't see me. I just love when Taylor gets really deep with it. This song was also nominated for 3 Grammys, including Song of the Year and Record of the Year. And it is insane that to this day, Taylor has still not won like the Grammy that is for songwriters. At the end of the day, this song might be a little bit not like other girls, a little bit pick me, but God, does it go hard. There's just something so empowering about singing along to She Doesn't Know Your Stories Like I Do. The audacity to say I'm listening to the kind of music she doesn't like. It's so funny to be like, you and me have the same taste in music. She doesn't get us.
Hey, what you doing with a girl like that?
So up next, track 7 is Breathe.
People are people and sometimes we change our minds, but it's killing me to see you go after all this time.
Yet another song nominated for a Grammy. Now, you would be forgiven if you didn't realize that Colby Calais had vocals on this track because they are so quiet to me, but having a collaboration between these two at the time was just iconic.
People are like, so what do you think of the second record? I'm like, I've got a song with Colby Calais that I wrote and she's singing on it, and it's coming together so well. I'm so excited about it.
It was written in 2007 backstage at one of Colby's shows. Taylor shared this picture on MySpace of them working on it together. Now, this song is written about grief and like losing a friend or the breakdown of a friendship, which I think is so important because pretty much all of us will go through a friendship breakup in our lives. It is arguably just as hard, if not sometimes harder than a romantic breakup, and yet there are not really any songs about it. And Taylor said she was really proud of that. She said that she was able to write something so emotionally deep that wasn't at all about a relationship.
Total therapy, because I came in and I was like, look, you know, one of my best friends, you know, I'm gonna have to not see anymore, and it's not gonna be part of what I do, and it's like the hardest thing to go through. It's like crazy listening to the song because you'd think it would be about a relationship, but it's really about like losing a friend.
Yeah. This was said to be about her old friend and bandmate Emily Poe. Emily was in the band with Taylor, and while she was quite a bit older, I think she was like 24 when Taylor was 18 or so, because the rest of the band members at that time were like even older or men, they were able to have still a really good connection and become close in that way. And like I said before, when you are a teenager, your friends really are your whole world, especially given the fact that she was on tour. Emily left the band to go to law school and was replaced with Caitlin, who I think was a lot more experienced at that time.
We actually were in Pennsylvania doing a show, and the next morning I had to take the LSAT, and I didn't know if I was going to make it because we were driving on the bus.
But Taylor and the band and the crew made this video for Emily, so clearly they left things on pretty good terms. And I have so many memories of making videos or having friends make videos for me just like that in this era. There was something about a little iMovie clip and a song that you loved or an inside joke that was so meaningful, and I miss that. We should bring that back. Secret message is I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, which is the same as the outro.
Sorry, sorry, sorry. And it's just kind of like, like a hinted, like you never said it in the song, but that's totally what the song's about. I just want you like ad-libbing and just like singing all your cool parts on the end, just like, because it's so gorgeous.
So even though Taylor had said it was neither person's fault, she was taking accountability or responsibility for her actions in the fallout and any hurt caused from her side. Ultimately, I love this song so much. I just think it's so universal. When anyone becomes a big or meaningful part of your life and then you have to move on without them and you're so used to having them as part of your routine, it feels physically hard. One of my favorite lyrics from this song is people are people and sometimes we change our minds, which becomes people are people and sometimes it doesn't work out. And also on this song, we have one of the many 2 a.m. references.
It's 2 a.m. Feeling like I just lost a friend.
Hope you like it.
Yeah, it's beautiful. She's an amazing writer, and you're gonna love the song.
Then we have track 8, Tell Me Why.
I'm going to start out with a song that's about boys who play mind games because we don't like them. And the only way that I really know how to handle a situation like that and a person like that who chooses to act like that is to write a song about it and walk away. So this is called Tell Me Why.
Dare I say, one of the most underrated bangers in all of history. The fiddles on this make me want to ascend to the heavens.
I took a chance, and you might think I'm bulletproof, but I'm not.
When Taylor says you took a swing, I took it hard, think about how that then parallels years later on My Tears Ricochet, and you can aim for my heart, go for blood, but you would still miss me in your bones. Different themes, different muses, but still. So this song is basically about someone that plays mind games and never lets you feel secure in the relationship. And the lyrics on this song to me feel so conversational, as if Taylor is just kind of ranting, you know, kind of just like a long-winded ramble and rant at this person. I'm sick and tired of your attitude. I'm feeling like I don't know you. You tell me that you love me, then cut me down. Someone else might have titled this song like looking for answers, trying to understand. Taylor's just like straight up, tell me why. Why did you treat me like this? Basically, they were in a writing session and Taylor was ranting about this guy. She just couldn't really figure out how he felt about her because he was so hot and cold. And Liz said, well, what do you wish you could say to him? And Taylor started monologuing. I'm sick and tired of your attitude. I'm feeling like I don't know you. About this song, Taylor said, I've been talking to a guy I'd never officially dated. Sometimes the hardest thing when you have all of these dreams of dating them and you're getting close, but it doesn't work out. He would say things that make me go, did you just say that? It bothered me so much because he would say one thing and then do another, do one thing and say another. Because he didn't know what he wanted, he would just play all these mind games. So I went over to write with Liz and I was just ranting and raving about how this guy is such a flake and such a jerk sometimes and so cool the others. I was like, Liz, I don't know what's up with this guy. So I just started playing the beginning. I took a chance, I took a shot, and you might think I'm bulletproof, but I'm not. This was also one of my favorite performances of the surprise songs on the Red Tour. I just think the way she sang that song during that era hit different.
I think that's one of the greatest songs of our time. I just think that the way she sings that song, it just takes me to another place.
The secret message here was, guess I was fooled by your smile, which to me really kind of calls back to say you're sorry, that face of an angel comes out just when you need it to. So I wonder if there is any correlation between those two songs and relationships, or if it's just, you know, a thing that happened twice. Ultimately, I just think this song deserves so much more appreciation.
Tell me why.
This part?
You could write a book
Banger. Banger. Then we have track 9, You're Not Sorry.
You're Not Sorry is a song that I wrote by myself, and the songs I write by myself are kind of special to me because usually I write them so fast and I write them in the moment when that song has been inspired by something that's just happened. And I wrote this song maybe a year and a half ago about a guy who kept apologizing and kept doing the same thing over and over again. And after a while, I think you just have to stand up to that person and say, you're not sorry at all. Bye.
So Taylor said about this song, when you're dealing with anyone you meet, you should always trust them. Always believe the best. And the first time they tell you they're sorry, you should believe them. But if they keep doing the thing they say they're sorry for, it means they're not sorry. So I feel like this could be about the same person that White Horse was written about. Taylor said, it is about a guy who turned out to be not who I thought he was. Came across as Prince Charming. Well, it turned out Prince Charming had a lot of secrets that he didn't tell me about. And one by one, I would figure them out. I would find out who he really was. I wrote this when I was at the breaking point of, you know what? Don't even think that you can keep hurting me. It was to a point where I had to walk away. I just think that ties in so well with White Horse and the disappointment of realizing someone isn't who you thought they were. And I mean, if we look back at older interviews, Taylor had said about Sam, I wrote a few more songs other than Should Have Said No on this upcoming record about him just because, you know, I wasn't done being mad about it. I know he's on the edge of his seat waiting. And you know what? Deservedly so. Something that I've talked about a lot is how much I loved the theatrics of the Fearless tour. Obviously the Speak Now tour raised that bar even higher, but Fearless really knew what she was doing too. For example, when Taylor mashed this up with What Comes Around Goes Around.
You're looking so innocent, I might believe you if I didn't know. Don't wanna think about it, don't wanna talk about it. I'm just so sick about him, can't believe it's standing this way. What goes around, goes around, goes around, comes all the way around. You don't have to call anymore. I won't look out the phone. Boy, you got what you deserve.
And to think that's the girl that wrote a song about someone else's new girlfriend being a drama queen. The call might be coming from inside the house, but I love it. One of my other favorite mashups of this was on the Speak Now tour when she did Back to December, Apologize, and You're Not Sorry.
If the chain is on your door, I understand. Too late to apologize. It's too late. No, no, no. You're not sorry.
So good. You guys will remember from part 1, I talked about the CSI episode that Taylor started as a teenage girl named Haley who unfortunately met a very painful end. But that episode actually used this song, well, rather a funky remix of this song. Personally, the original is still my favorite, but let me know which you prefer. The secret message for this song is She Can Have You, which again, I just feel like ties in very well to the Sam Armstrong of it all. But also the notion of She Can Have You, to me, is really giving, what's the prize? Troy? The Star Dazzle Award? You have to go through all of this to get either one? Well, no thanks, Sharpay. You're very good at a game that I don't want to play. So I'm done here.
But you better step away from the mirror long enough to check the damage that will always be right behind you.
She's got a point. She's an icon. She's a legend. And she is the moment. Now, come on now.
Hello, in case you couldn't tell by the new lighting and freshly curled hair, it is the next day. I have 21 more pages of notes to get through, so I had to split it up. But I will say, I just ate a big toasted sandwich, and guys, putting this corset back on was a journey. Anyway, let's get into it. Up next, we have The Way I Loved You. Something I love about this song is how the melody and the music kind of reflects what the song is saying and how the story is progressing. The verses, much like her current healthy but maybe boring relationship, sound safe. Like the music isn't really going anywhere. It's pleasant, it's nice, but it's not surprising us.
Couldn't ask for anything better.
However, when the chorus hits, it explodes into this crescendo of emotion. It is up and down, much like a roller coaster kind of rush.
But I've been screaming and fighting and kissing in the rain. Roller coaster kind of rush, and that's the way I love you.
As I was getting ready before, I was just blasting Red, the song, on repeat. It has a lot of parallels to this song about like a super intense relationship, which I mean is present on a lot of Taylor's earlier albums, and how like, I won't say she glamorized or glorified toxic love, but you know, she definitely romanticized a bit of drama. And when you think about Loving Him was like driving a new Maserati down a dead-end street, faster than the wind, passionate as sin, ended so suddenly. These are all things that were like burned fast and blew out quickly. They're like relationships that burned too hard and too fast. So I think I've mentioned here that I did a video assigning Taylor Swift albums to Vampire Diaries characters because somebody had to. And I fear this song is Elena Gilbert's through and through. We could make a case for Belly from The Summer I Turned Pretty, but I don't think the relationships fall as concretely as Stefan and Damon do. Like, he is sensible and so incredible, and all my single friends are jealous. He calls exactly when he says he will. I couldn't ask for anything better.
Opens up my door and I get into his car.
Tell me that is not season 1 Elena and Stefan. But then unfortunately we have
But I've been screaming and fighting and kissing in the rain. So in love that you're acting insane.
Dare I say, this is also a little bit Rory Gilmore with Dean and then Jess. Again, let me know if you want me to do a full video on the Gilmore Girls parallels because I'm rewatching it currently and there are a lot. Last night I had this like full body chill moment realizing who Tolerate it was. We need to talk about it. Anyway, this kind of toxic love is done so well by two machines, Taylor Swift and teen dramas. I really don't think Taylor could get away with it now, but there was just something so special and fun about the first 2 albums where Taylor did tell stories about this kind of all-encompassing, consuming, dare I say toxic love, filled with heightened emotions and breaking up and getting back together. It felt like watching a movie. Personally, I've never gravitated towards that kind of love in my real life, which means I really appreciate getting to kind of cosplay experiencing that by listening to songs like this. I think I said this in my ranking every Taylor Swift song too, but it also perfectly fits the Notebook. Like, it's just Ali and Noah and then poor James Marsden. Honestly, I would have chosen Lon. The secret message for this is we can't go back, which makes me think ultimately Taylor's like, yes, I missed that. Yes, I'm romanticizing that kind of toxic love, but girl, don't go there.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Now, I will say, I think this maybe feels like the most debut-esque song to me, which is very high praise because I love that album. If you have any other fictional characters that you feel fit this song or fit any of these songs, please let me know. I would love to discuss it. It's really interesting to think about Taylor re-recording this for Fearless Taylor's version when she did, because I think it's a lot easier to wish for and glamorize a relationship like this, filled with ups and downs and drama and excitement, I guess, when you are a teenager. Whereas then re-recording it in her 30s, I think you're maybe looking more for like stability and someone who does call when he says he will. And I love thinking about the lyric, and I feel perfectly fine, because that comes up again in Taylor's discography. We obviously have Mr. Perfectly Fine, but then also I'm perfectly fine, I live on my own. No, it's kind of like saying I'm unbothered, I'm okay, but I could have more. Later on Taylor's albums we get a lot of nods to Midnight, but here in the Fearless and debut, and I think Speak Now and Red era, we get a lot more 2 AMs. Honestly, it is kind of funny to reflect on these lyrics even now. Like, he's close to my mother, talks business with my father, he's charming and endearing. These are all such great qualities, but you want to be outside with someone screaming in the middle of the night, in the middle of the street. Honestly, she can have that. I'll pass. The real kicker of a lyric is, and my heart's not breaking because I'm not feeling anything at all. tying in with the secret message, which is we can't go back, I think the fact that this stays in past tense, like even on the closing line it says that's the way I loved you, Taylor is acknowledging while I miss this, while I may want it back, I need to move forward. You know, it's not the way I love you, it's not a confession of actually we should be back together, it's damn I miss that, maybe it's for the best that I move on. That said, we do acknowledge a pretty similar theme and dynamic on Midnight Rain. So that longing for intense love I think will always be there, but in a more mature, nuanced and layered way. Next we have Forever and Always.
I'm sitting down with Taylor Swift, and Taylor, you're headlining your very first tour. Are you pumped about this?
I'm so excited about it. This is my opportunity to take the songs that I've written in my bedroom and portray them the way I've always seen them in my head.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard that when you write songs, you include the names of actual guys you've dated.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so these are guys who are walking around right now, and they are named in the song.
Uh-huh.
So here's my question, and I'm a little concerned about this. If you are naming the guys you've dated in your songs, why do you think any guy's gonna want to date you?
Well, I guess in that situation, I just figure that if guys don't want me to write bad songs about them, then they shouldn't do bad things. They shouldn't do bad things. They shouldn't do bad things.
Once upon a time, I believe it was a Tuesday when I caught your eye.
This track was an emergency last minute addition, and thank God she put it on the album because I don't know who I would be as a person without this song. A lot of my favorite Taylor songs are when she is angry and ranting and she's pretty much just like yelling this whole song.
Was I out of line? Did I say something way too honest? Made you run and hide like a scared little boy. Back up, baby, back up. Back up, baby, back up.
Forever and Always kind of feels like one long stream of consciousness where she's kind of just like ranting out her thoughts and then she's like, okay, it's your turn to speak. Actually, no, another thing.
You said forever and always.
With every breakup, there's that initial jolt of anger where you want to throw a chair, but then the reality underneath all of that is that you're really, really sad, and you always end up kind of kneeling on the floor, realizing that you just wish that you could back up the whole scenario and just make it end differently.
The beginning verse even is a bit of a bait and switch. It seems like it's going to be this beautiful love story. You're like, oh, it's a fairy tale romance. How nice. Can't wait to see where this goes.
Once upon a time, I believe it was a Tuesday when I caught your eye. You looked me in the eye and told me you loved me.
And then suddenly she hits you with,
Were you just kidding? Cause it seems to me this thing is breaking down. We almost never speak. I welcome and Lord.
I will never get over this part.
Here's to everything, coming down to nothing. Here's to silence.
This song also gave us one of my personal favorite Fearless Tour moments, the fake interview and throwing the chair off the stage. In fact, even the title itself is a bit of a bait and switch because it's sort of referencing this fairy tale notion, this forever and always. But then much like in Whitehorse, explains how that actually isn't going to be true. Side note, it always tripped me out when shows like One Tree Hill and The Vampire Diaries would reference this idea.
Always
And forever. Always and forever.
Always and forever. Always and forever.
Always and forever.
Because I was like, actually Taylor invented that first. I mean, I guess One Tree Hill probably did it first and she maybe got it from that, but I heard Taylor first. So about this song, she said, Forever and Always is about when I was in a relationship with someone and I was just watching him slowly slip away. I didn't know why because I wasn't doing anything different. I didn't do anything wrong. He was just fading. It's about the confusion and frustration of wondering why. What changed? When did it change? What did I do wrong? In this case, the guy I wrote it about ended up breaking up with me for another girl. Guess I know why he was fading. Taylor often says she's never confirmed who a song was about. I think there are a few rare exceptions and Forever and Always is one of them. This is very much about Joe Jonas.
Taylor was reportedly dating Joe Jonas. We don't know if you were or not.
Yeah.
So you
we
were dating.
Yeah.
And how do you make it through and past something that was so difficult and clearly you're still very, very hurt about it?
I like to write about my life, and as my life changes and things happen, I write about it. that's just how I deal with things. It's tough. There's actually one song on the record that is about it. I did an emergence, like a last minute recording session. So there's a track on the record that's actually...
What's it called?
It's called Forever and Always.
There's one that's about that guy.
What's the name of the song that's about that?
It's called Forever and Always.
Is that sarcasm, forever and always?
Definitely.
That must be really hard because you, as opposed to someone who's just in a relationship, you can avoid seeing him, but like
he's on like
you see him
pencil
everywhere.
sharpeners and t-shirts and
Yes,
billboards.
yeah. I did not realize pencil sharpeners, but he's...
There's also a doll.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, I bet you have that with some pins or something, probably.
See, this one even comes with a phone. See, so he can break up with other dolls. Stay away from him. Okay?
I know people who are also big fans of both Taylor Swift and Harry Styles say they are a child of divorce, but honestly I experienced that way before with this song. I'm trying to imagine a world where Joe Jonas and Taylor never broke up, and like I just cannot envision that at all. They're such different people, but imagine they were still together today. They would likely be married with kids, maybe both still making music. Taylor definitely would, I think. Honestly, it is crazy to me that they ever dated because they just feel like such different people. I sometimes wonder if Taylor regrets being as open as she was in those early days about Joe and like how much he had hurt her and just the breakup and the Joe Jonas of it all. You'll remember in part 1 of this video, you know, she spoke and joked about that breakup, so obviously they're on great terms now, but this along with the liner notes did kind of set off, I guess, a lot of the frenzy of the media wanting to know who her songs were about. So part 2 of this song is basically Better Than Revenge on Speak Now. I would consider Mr. Perfectly Fine like a midway song. It kind of conveys a slightly different feeling, whereas Better Than Revenge and the unreleased song Drama Queen, one of my personal favorites, really carry this theme on with a more updated message, and I cover that in the Speak Now breakdown. But Taylor realizing that this was about another girl was very painful, obviously, and I mean, just look at the Speak Now tour.
I think her ever-present frown is a little troubling, and she thinks I'm psycho because I like to rhyme her name with things.
Better Than Revenge is awesome!
Thank you. Sometime after that, reflecting on this period of her life and these songs, Taylor has since mentioned that somebody else can't steal someone from you if that person doesn't already want to leave. Personally, I'm just glad that she got to have her big teenage feelings about it first. And I mentioned this was a last minute ad, but like the turnaround for her writing this is kind of insane. So on September 18th, the Jonas Brothers filmed the Love Bug music video starring Camille Bell, which is likely where Joe and her met. And then Taylor wrote and recorded this song on September 22nd. I will never not be impressed by her speedy turnaround times. Additionally, you guys might remember from part 1 that Joe broke up with Taylor in a 27-second phone call. And while that detail wasn't necessarily utilized on Fearless, she deliberately gave Last Kiss a 27-second intro referencing that. And what is the secret message on Last Kiss? Forever and always. I just love how she ties everything together. This will always be one of the best songs to just scream sing. It's also just such a funny notion. Well, not funny, haha. It's almost a childish notion to be like, well, you promised me this, how can you break that promise? Whereas as adults, we know that is a very real thing that happens all the time. People are people and sometimes they change their minds. We even have a similar notion on Tortured Poets.
I'll never leave, never mind.
Next up, we have The Best Day. Shout out to Andrea Swift.
Expressions of people's faces when they saw the water come down.
Oh my God, they were like, what?
Like, oh, she did.
Oh, is that what they were saying?
They're like that.
My mom and I have always been best friends, and that's really helped because most of the time we get along really, really well.
She's my best friend, and we're definitely never gonna go clubbing together.
This is a very beautiful track for her mum, and this was a Christmas gift actually. This might be one of the best Christmas gifts anyone has ever given someone else. Taylor even put together a beautiful homemade video for this, which serves as the music video, which you are watching right now. Their bond is just so beautiful and what any mother and daughter would be lucky to have. Personally, I think Andrea and also Scott, but in many ways mostly Andrea, are the reason that Taylor is so kind and thoughtful and considerate and also normal despite being like the most famous person alive currently. And also getting famous quite young. I just think about how if every person obviously, but also every kind of child star or someone that gets into this industry could have such a beautiful supporting family, I mean, the world would be a better place. Most of this song, Taylor talks about the hardships she was going through growing up and confusions she had, questions she had, or times that were really hard, being bullied, being left out, and how her mum essentially got her through all of that.
My worst
time of the day was when I went to go pick up Taylor at school, and I would know that things maybe hadn't been so great that day at school, and so I knew I was going to hear whatever happened. And so that was tough as a mom to hear the ostracizing that went through, literally the shunning that would take place at school, where she would sit down at a table with her lunch tray and everyone would move. As a parent, there's nothing more painful than hearing that your child is in pain. You'll take any bullet for them, but you realize that this is also something that they have to go through.
We can realize from a pretty young age how scary and cold the world can seem, and Andrea provided Taylor with a safe space. One of my favorite lines is, "I love you for giving me your eyes, staying back and watching me shine." Not only does that make me think of my mum because I have her eyes, but like Andrea sacrificed so much, her career, her goals, her dreams, to support Taylor's. I mean, obviously her whole family did, even Austin, they uprooted their whole life and moved to Nashville. But Andrea was the one driving her around all day and taking her to visit these record labels and radio stations, trying to get that career launched. When I hear this song, I think about when I met Andrea at the Fearless tour and spoke to her during the concert, and I thanked her for the daughter that she had raised, because the person I loved so much as a kid then, and obviously still now, I was just so in awe of and impressed by, and you know that can only be attributed to the people that raised her. She literally was staying back and watching Taylor shine, just taking that in with so much awe, and we saw that at every Eras Tour show.
She sits at the soundboard every night and watches the show. It's really cool to know that someone from your family is always going to be there watching to make sure that everything's okay.
Her parents were at pretty much every single show, and that is just so rare to have such a beautiful, close connection with your family, even as someone this busy. I just think it's really beautiful. And the fact that Andrea's mum, Marjorie, passed away whilst Andrea was taking Taylor on those trips to Nashville to try and pursue her dreams of becoming a performer makes this song hit even harder. The secret message is God bless Andrea Swift, and I couldn't agree more. Then we have Change.
And I'll do anything to see it through, because these things will change. Can you feel it now? These walls that they put up to hold us back will fall down.
An absolutely underrated banger, and one of my personal favorite genres of music, which is songs that sound like worship music but aren't. If you're looking for more songs of that kind of variety, I think One Direction and Hannah Montana really fit the bill, but I also have playlists that I will link below. The way that Taylor's vocals have changed, specifically on this song from the original version to Taylor's version, is one of the most beautiful transformations, and honestly deserves so much more credit for how much she strengthened her vocals in that time. So we have always known that this song was about basically Big Machine Records, her label, Scott Borchetta, the people that were there working on this album with her and the previous album, but ultimately it's about feeling like an underdog. Taylor said, "At one point I began to understand that it would be harder for me on a smaller record label to get to the places and accomplish the thing that artists were accomplishing on bigger record labels. I realized I wouldn't get favors pulled for me because there weren't any other bigger artists on the label to pull favors from. It was going to be an uphill climb, and all that I had to encourage me was the hope that someday things would change, that things would be different. After so many times of just saying that to myself over and over, I finally wrote it down in a song." Boy, am I glad she did.
And it's hard to explain exactly what it's about, but I think it's about starting Big Machine. I think it's about being on a small label. Like, I was just writing down everything that I felt in the beginning, you know, because there are all these huge buildings, and then there's our little building. There's all these huge names on these rosters, and then there's new artists on our roster, and, you know, it was kind of to my label in a way, just about, you know, being the underdog and starting out and knowing that someday things will be our way. But I think about it now whenever I play it, I think about like world issues too. Like, it seems like it's got a bigger meaning than that. So when I play it, I think about just anybody who is on the bottom and knows that someday they want to be somewhere else.
So Taylor has said that for ages she had this song, she'd been working on it, but it was unfinished and she couldn't bring herself to finish it. She went months and months without writing more of this song until she won the CMA Horizon Award, which gave us this iconic moment.
And the Horizon Award goes to Taylor Swift.
I can't even believe that this is real. And I want to thank God and my family for moving to Nashville so that I could do this. Everybody at Big Machine Records and the fans, you have changed my life. I can't even believe this, and this is definitely the highlight of my senior year.
So that lyric, "It was the night things changed," refers to this night.
It was the night things changed. Can you see it now? The walls that they put up to hold us back fell down.
She said, "That's when I finished it because I knew I couldn't finish it until something like that happened. It was absolutely the most amazing night of my life, getting to see the emotion of the people who worked so hard for me." That makes me emotional to think about, because think of how far she's come since then. Like, that felt like peak of her career, and to be fair, it like kind of was at that point. But she went on, I'm just so happy for someone that I don't know at all. She went on to be nominated for Best New Artist at the Grammys, to win Album of the Year at that same Grammys, and then win Album of the Year 3 more times after that, to have the biggest tours like in history. I know I've talked about this in other videos, but like when we think about legacy artists like the Beatles, Michael Jackson, Elvis Presley, Taylor Swift, whether people like it or not, is that of our generation. This is a legacy artist, an icon, a legend, and that's why I love this song so much. So the secret message on Change is, you made things change for me, which, as bad as things turned out in the end, this song ultimately is kind of a love letter to Scott Borchetta and Big Machine Records and anyone that took a chance on her. Obviously, it is devastating and unforgivable and unfathomable the way that things did turn out, but back in the day, he took a chance on her when no one else did, and she just as much took a chance on him, and together they built something huge.
Playing a song for them for the first time. I wrote it last night, and we're gonna record it now. Either it works or it doesn't, but we'll hope for the best. This is called Change. Do you like it?
I love it. It is amazing.
Thank you.
Great.
It's got a string loop that I will sing to you as obnoxiously as possible. Just changes. Strings and electric fighting with each other made a music child.
If strings and electric.
Got in a fight and then had a kid.
Wow.
The strings and electric guitar would make this. That's the goal.
That'd be awesome.
That's just those goalposts. That's what we're trying to.
I got you. Strings, electric.
It's a sad picture. The final blow hits you. Somebody else gets what you wanted again. Was the night things changed? Can you see it now?
Oh my God.
It might have been painful for Taylor to re-record this, but also at the same time, I think you can acknowledge what someone brought to your life, even if you're no longer speaking or on good terms. As a wise woman once said, there'll be happiness after you, but there was happiness because of you. Both of these things can be true. Now, you guys might remember that screenshot of like an original track list that I shared, but Change was almost track 1, which is like kind of insane to think about. To me, it's just so perfectly a closing number. This actually ended up being the theme song for the Olympics and was released on the AT&T Team USA soundtrack.
These walls that they put up to hold us back will fall down.
Again, like I said, it's perfect because it's vaguely inspiring and motivating, and it can like be applied to any situation. Ultimately, Change walked so that Long Live could run. So if you don't appreciate it, I just think you should give it another chance, give it another listen, because maybe your opinion will change. Well, now we have the deluxe tracks.
It's going to be really excited to hear what people think of the 6 new songs and all the new stuff on this record, because they've made this a really great year for me. And so this is my chance to give some new music and some new stuff to the people who have had this CD for a year. I hope they all enjoy the Fearless Jedi Ninja Platinum Edition.
So Taylor said, the 6 new songs on the Fearless Platinum Edition are songs that I either recorded and wrote recently, wrote maybe a year ago and almost put on Fearless but decided not to for one reason or another, or songs that I wrote when I was 14, 15 and re-recorded recently. It's a good mixture of songs from different time periods throughout my life. When I make an album, I always have a general theme for it, and when I hear songs or go back and listen to old ones, there are some that I know will fit within the theme. Now, something that was a little bit insane and is not really often done is that when the deluxe album came out, these tracks were added to the front of the album. So like they were slotted in before the rest of the songs, which meant like Superstar was now track 5. I know track 5 didn't really exist yet, but like it was just such a funny concept to me. Thankfully now with Taylor's version, this has been rectified. So first up we have Jump Then Fall.
There's a song called Jump Then Fall that is probably the happiest, bounciest, fun song to drive down the street listening to. I wrote it last summer and it's just really fun and happy and takes me back to a good place.
Essentially, this is pretty much a song purely about having a crush and falling in love.
Hi everyone, this is Sabrina. I'm going to be doing my first cover on the guitar. This is Jump Then Fall by Taylor Swift, and this is my belated Valentine's Day present to all of you. I've never been so wrapped up, honey. I like the way you're everything I've ever wanted.
We're on the phone and without a warning, your laugh is the best sound I have ever heard.
I remember talking to you guys about this when Tortured Poets came out, probably in a video like this time last year, about how So High School was kind of the first song since maybe 1989 about just purely having a crush, free from any anxiety or worry or fighting. And Jump Then Fall is a perfect example of that. Taylor doesn't have a lot of these in like the second half of her discography, but there are a lot on the first few albums. Now, when she says, I like the way your hair falls in your face, it reminds me very much of Gold Rush.
With your hair falling into place like dominoes.
But my favorite part is this.
You got the keys to me, I love each freckle on your face. Oh.
And even the theme of like, every time you shine, I'll shine for you.
Every time you smile, I smile. Every time you shine, I shine for you.
Feels very similar to I'm Only Me When I'm With You from Self-Titled. Now, one of the things that sets this song apart from pretty much all other tracks on Fearless and even Self-Titled is that Taylor here is kind of positioning herself as like the savior and the pursuer rather than like the damsel who needs rescuing or someone who just wants to be loved. She says the bottom's gonna drop out from under our feet, meaning like things could fall apart, the worst might happen, but if it does, I'll catch you, I'll catch you. That very well ties in to the albatross. She's sweeping in at the rescue. You wouldn't expect it from the way the song sounds, but it actually has, I think, one of the more adult, sensual lyrics, which is, I'll hold you through the night.
But I'll hold you through the night until you smile. Whoa, need you, baby.
Not to sound like a total prude, but like on an album that was very, very innocent, that alludes to, you know, sleeping together overnight. And the fact that like Sparks Fly, which was kind of the earliest signs of that we got, was written around this same time, but pushed back to be on Speak Now. This ends up being one of our first more like adult depictions of love, I think. Ultimately, unlike other songs on this album, like Love Story or White Horse, Taylor is not the one asking to be rescued or like looking for that encouragement. She's the one doing the rescuing here. She's saying like, let me save you. This gives us an early glimpse of like the very strong and powerful person Taylor will become and kind of taking agency in that. And also just gives a sneak peek at like her emotional maturity at this age. Now, Taylor wrote that song in the summer of 2008 when she was 18 years old. She was dating Joe Jonas at the time, and the secret message being last summer was magical, I think very perfectly ties into Holy Ground, whose entire message was kind of like, yeah, that one summer was magical. Overall, a really cute and underrated song. Next up we have Untouchable.
untouchable like a distant diamond sky.
It is one of the biggest joys in my life getting to tell people that this is a cover. And that is something that besides her Christmas album, I don't think Taylor has ever put on a record. Like if we're not including songs like Better Man, Babe, things that she worked on the original for, this was a one-off. And I've got to say, I would pay good money for Taylor to do an album full of covers. I'll include some clips here of songs I think could make the cut because she is just so good at covering other people's songs.
To Nashville, thinking about the whole thing. In my life, I've been hammered by some heavy blows. You never knock me off my feet. The way you kiss, the way you cry, the way you move when you walk by. There ain't nothing about you don't do something for me. Did you make it to the Milky Way to see the lights are fading? That heaven is overrated. You said I'd never be a leader. You said I never wear a crown. I tell myself you'll never go. I warn myself you'll never be. I can't keep doubting myself anymore. No. Living on a bed, take my hand, we'll make it, I swear. Yeah, you bleed just to know you're alive. And I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think they'd understand. But everything's made to be perfect. I just want you to know who I am.
Kind of the Kelly Clarkson of her day. So this was originally by the rock band Lunar Halo. Taylor rearranged it into basically an acoustic lullaby for her acoustic EP Stripped, Raw and Real as a thank you for Scott Borchetta because this was his favorite song.
In the middle of the night when I'm in this dream, it's like a million little stars spelling out your name. It's half full and I won't wait here all day.
Now Taylor's version, not the Taylor's version brackets, but like Taylor's version of this song is so incredibly different to the original that like you could hear both of them and not even really connect the dots. To the point where now if I heard Lunar Halo's version, it would kind of sound like when pop punk bands on TikTok or Reels do like X Taylor Swift song if it was rock. Taylor transformed this song so much, not only kind of melodically, but also lyrics wise, that Lunar Halo gave her writing credits for it. And like I said with the previous track, I do think some of the lyrics here are a little bit more sensual, but Taylor did change some of these lyrics to kind of give it a more PG spin, you know, a bit more teenage friendly. Lunar Halo went on to cover Taylor's version of this song, which I think is so cool to be like, hey, we acknowledge your cover of this that exists. We really appreciate it. We love it. We're gonna perform it too. My request is now that Taylor sings their version. I think it would be very similar to We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together rock version. I just think there is something so special to me about Taylor and an electric guitar. And that's all I can say on that. Ultimately, it is kind of crazy that this song is a cover because if you told me she wrote this whole thing from scratch, I would believe you. It just sounds so much like a Taylor Swift song.
Come on, come on,
Interestingly, the secret message for this is we always want what we can't reach. After that comes Forever and Always piano version.
There's also a version of my song Forever and Always that is just piano and cello. And that's a song on the record that I feel like that song has a lot of different sides and it has a lot of different emotions all poured into one song. And so this version of the song really addresses the sad parts of that song. And, you know, on the record, the way it is, it's produced and it seems frustrated and angry and confused, but this version of the song is just really sad.
Was I out of line? Did I say something way too honest, made you run and hide?
Which honestly, I don't have that much to say about. It's very similar to the original, just slowed down. Personally, I prefer the original. If you give me the choice between an angry expression of an emotion or a sad expression of it, I'm always going to pick the angry one. It completely transforms the song. I just don't know if I needed it. There's not really much to say. So next up is Come In With The Rain. This song is thematically pretty similar to White Horse. It is about giving up on a crush that has let you down. I mean, the secret message is, won't admit that I wish you'd come back. So that kind of tells us everything. You know, it's about wishing you were still with someone that you're not with anymore, but kind of deep down knowing you need to move on. It is actually wild to me that this is not a debut song. In my mind, it is such a debut song. I don't know if you guys have this, where like Bad Blood, I always forget, is not on Reputation. And I think if someone said to me that Come In With The Rain is on Self-Titled, I wouldn't argue with them. I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. I think it might be because we have references to God, which we see a lot on debut and a lot less so as the albums continue.
Talk to the wind, talk to the sky, talk to the man with the reasons why.
But even the instrumentation is like very country twang and a lot less pop. I really like in this song that Taylor is kind of putting the onus on that other person to go away and reflect on their own behavior or actions or thoughts and then come back to her and let me know what you find. She's like, I know the truth. I know what you should be doing and how I feel. Do some heavy self-reflection and then we can circle back. Also, honestly, for the longest time, I didn't really understand the metaphor of like come in with the rain. It's just something that didn't make sense to me. And maybe that's something that we don't say here in Australia. To come in with the rain essentially means when bad times come, people will come to their senses and realize what they were looking for kind of that whole time. Let me know if I kind of have the right grasp on that. But I think the best part of this song is the parallel we get to Peter. She's been waiting for him for so long and is still holding out hope, still leaving that, you know, metaphorical door open or window open in her heart for him to come back and return, but she's exhausted from fighting so hard for them. She's like, it's your turn now. The option is still there, but you have to take it. Later on Peter, she will close this metaphorical window and stop waiting. I think this song also has one of my favorite lines on the whole album, which is, I've got you down, I know you by heart, and you don't even know where I start.
I've got you down, I know you by heart. You don't even know where I start.
I don't know if this is an exclusively female problem, so I won't say that, but I feel like it is very common with women to have this kind of gap in their relationship, this emotional disconnect where you're like, I feel like my friends see me for who I am. They so get me and like, you know, understand who I am. I think just like feeling seen is so important. I know I've talked about this and like cried about this probably on this channel before. It's songs like You're Losing Me and Tolerate It and So Long London, but like not feeling seen by someone is so painful. And to feel like maybe, you know, I have this in my friendships and I know my partner so well, I see them, but I don't think they truly see me. You feel like they're there with you, but they're not really seeing you. And I feel like to someone that doesn't get that, what I'm saying will sound insane and pointless almost, but to those of you that get it, you get what I mean. Now, I think this song opens up the theme for Speak Now so perfectly because here she's singing about all of the things that were left unsaid. And obviously Speak Now, the next album, goes on to be about saying the things that you want to say and not letting anything be left unsaid. She sings, I could stand up and sing you a song, but I don't want to have to go that far. Now, the irony is she literally is doing that. I guess she's saying that I'm not going to go ahead and do the big grand gesture and do this for you. I'll do it for me instead. I'll just put it in a song. Now, interestingly, this holds one of the records for longest time between from when it was written to when it was recorded to when it was sung live. This has only been sang live twice ever.
Is to sort of challenge myself to play songs that I have never performed live, and I'm pretty sure I've never played this one live. It's one of my favorites, and it's from Fearless. It's called Come In With The Rain.
Taylor said it was once, but she's actually wrong.
Actually, no, that's not the truth, Ellen.
The first time was at the Buffalo Club in Boise, Idaho in 2006 with other songs like Should Have Said No and Revenge. Absolute banger, one of my faves. And then more recently, last year on the Eras Tour as a surprise song. So congrats to anyone who has seen this live in Boise, Idaho, or I think it was Tokyo. You're very special. But yeah, this was written before any other Fearless song, to the point where she posted a like remix of this song on her MySpace before debut even came out. So Come In With The Rain is a very old song. You could kind of consider it a debut vault, and that's kind of what I mean when I say I don't care when songs get moved around to be on different albums. She did it with Sparks Fly, she did it with If This Was a Movie. Therefore, if Taylor wants to put songs like Drama Queen or You'll Always Find Your Way Back Home on the debut vault, I will have no issue with that. Side note, if you are wanting to know more about like these unreleased songs and potential songs that could be on the debut vault, I made a whole video about all of those songs, so I'll link that below. Next up we have Superstar. Taylor wrote Superstar in 2007 when she was 17 years old, basically about being in awe of and in love with a famous singer, though I don't know what we would judge as famous at that time, but someone certainly more famous than her. There have been so many conversations over the years of who this song is about, whether it is Joe Jonas, John Mayer, even Steven from Hey Steven. In my opinion, it was written for country singer Joe Nichols, who Taylor regularly saw during Brad Paisley's Bonfire and Amplifiers tour. I mean, the original Superstar demo had different lyrics, which is kind of what makes me think this and why it couldn't be about Joe Jonas or John Mayer or anyone else that's kind of speculated. She sang, "I knew when I saw your face on a TV screen in a crowded place, that beautiful smile would be the one thing to take me down." But the lyric that is a little bit more specific is, "You've played in bars, you play guitar, I know that you were born in Arkansas." That sounds so horrific in my Australian accent, but in hers it does rhyme. I mean, it is still kind of a clunky lyric, but these small details like that are what I love so much about Taylor. And it reminds me of the Speak Now tour when Taylor sang Back to December and changed the lyrics for Taylor Lautner's hometown show. She changed it from "If the chain is on your door, I understand" to "And this is for the boy from Michigan." That was just so sweet. A lyric that I do think lends itself to the John Mayer theory is the opening line, which is, "This is wrong, but, you know, I can't help but feel like there's nothing more right, babe." That would very much tie in with songs like Ours, which is like, everyone else thinks this is wrong, but it feels right to me.
I wrote it about this guy that nobody thought I should be with, and so I wrote this song specifically just to play it for him and just to show him, like, I don't care what anyone says. I don't care that you have tattoos. I don't care that you have a gap between your teeth. Like, I love you.
But it also kind of fits on themes that we explore on 1989 or Reputation, about how like just this couple would be a big conversation, if you will. The lyric "and all the girls in the front row scream your name" reminds me so much of one of my favorite David Archuleta songs. Shout out to any David Archuleta stans watching this, which is called Touch My Hand.
Saw you from a distance, saw you from the stage. Only me, only you and the band.
Trying to reach out to you, touch my hand. And it's kind of the reverse of this song. It's about the superstar, you know, being on stage and falling in love with that fan in the audience, which I mean is like every fan's dream to hear that kind of song. Can you imagine if Taylor had a song about like having a crush on someone in the crowd? Even the lyric, "I'm no one special, just another wide-eyed girl who's desperately in love with you," parallels a lot of her other songs from this time about feeling kind of invisible and having to compete with other girls for a guy's affection.
All those other girls, well, they're beautiful, but would they write a song for you?
You know, in the bridge, having that "you played in bars" mention must indicate that he was 21, right? If she was still underage writing this, maybe that's why the whole like "this is wrong" thing came into it. I always forget that in America you have to be 21, not 18 to go to bars, and I'm assuming that it could be the same to perform there, but maybe not. Let me know. But the lyric "you sing me to sleep every night from the radio" means this had to be someone that was at least mildly successful and playing on radios in, you know, 2006 to 2007. Kind of trippy hearing a song like this and picturing Taylor as the fan in this situation rather than the global megastar she would go on to be, knowing that she would be worshipped and idolized and crushed on far more than this person ever would be. And our secret message here is "I'll never tell," which very much reminds me of the Lucky One secret message, which is "wouldn't you like to know?" Because yeah, I would. And that is because Taylor, you made me this way. Next we have a little known song called "The Other Side of the Door."
There's a song called "The Other Side of the Door" that I really like because it talks about when you're in a fight with someone you're in a relationship with and you slam the door and you're like, leave me alone, don't ever talk to me, I hate you. But what you really mean is, please go buy me flowers and beg that I forgive you and stand at the door and don't leave for 3 days. It's like all about the dramatics of relationships where you're like, I hate you so much, I don't ever want to talk to you again, and you mean the opposite.
What can I say other than this is one of the best songs ever made? And it's kind of a great parallel to All You Had to Do Was Stay, and even How You Get the Girl. It's like the boys in those songs need to just rearrange, as is true for the Fearless era. Here we have another fantastic dramatic case of miscommunication, screaming at each other and saying things that you wish you could take back. On the surface, Taylor wants to like hold her head high and do what I think seems like the right thing, which is to say like, no, we're done, I'm gonna move forward, but ultimately hopes that they will look past that and not listen to what she's saying and actually keep trying to pursue her. She wants what any girl obsessed with books and movies and fairy tales wanted, which is a big romantic gesture. I walk away. This song I feel like has so many themes that are spread throughout the album and even debut. Like when she sings "And I Remember the Slamming Door," that represents putting up the emotional wall, saying we're done, drawing a clear barrier between them. Similarly, in But Daddy I Love Him, slams the door on the one thing she wanted. Both of these songs really play with romance narrative tropes. This song just goes so hard. I said leave, but all I really want is you. Other very key early Taylor Swift themes we get on this song are throwing rocks at a window. We also see this on Hey Stephen. And let me just say, I was listening to Check Yes Juliet by We the Kings this morning, and I had an epiphany that I think that song inspired both Hey Stephen and Love Story. We know that Taylor loved pop punk around that time. That song came out in I think 2006 or 7. Perfect timing for her to write for the Fearless album. And again, they took the story of Romeo and Juliet and kind of modernized it. They had that throwing rocks at the window. Check yes, Juliet, kill the limbo. I'll keep tossing rocks at your window. And once again, we see it here on the other side of the door. We also have pouring rain, screaming, slamming door, and a little black dress, which was previously mentioned on Tim McGraw. So that to me kind of indicates this could be about that same relationship. When you think happiness, I hope you think that little black dress. She also mentioned the same outfit on her unreleased song, Live for the Little Things. And LBD is just a tale as old as time. And as I've always said, this song has one of the best outros known to mankind. With your face and the beautiful eyes and the conversation with the little white lies, broke down crying, she wrote this mess after everything in that little black dress. I must confess I need you. To me, this is just one of the greatest songs of all time that perfectly captured the feeling of being a petulant teen. And personally, I love songs that feel like you're just kind of ranting one big list. Another notable favorite is 7 Things by Miley Cyrus. Our secret message for this song was what I was really feeling when I slammed the door, which, yeah, that tracks. Next we have Today Was a Fairy Tale.
Today was a fairy tale, you were the prince. I used to be a damsel in distress. You took me by the hand and you picked me up at 6. Today was a fairy tale.
This absolute banger was included on the Valentine's Day soundtrack, which for some reason, if you are here and you haven't seen it, is essentially an Americanized version of Love Actually. This was also written in the summer of 2008, and to me kind of represents a perfect midway point between Fearless and Speak Now. Like thematically, sonically, you could put it on either one. Taylor said, it's probably the happiest, bounciest, most fun song to drive down the street listening to. It's one of my favorites on the Platinum Edition. It's just really fun and happy and takes me back to a good place.
Nothing made sense till the time I saw your face. Today was a fairy tale.
Timeline-wise, I feel like this is probably inspired by Joe, just given when it was written and the fact that it kind of fits into that holy ground kind of theme. To be featured on Fearless, Speak Now, Red, and Folklore, here's just the muse that keeps on giving. I really love when Taylor describes things as magic, as she does here.
But can you feel this magic in the air? It must have been the way you kissed me.
Like I've always said, love is the closest thing we have to magic. That is a theme that Taylor has used on different songs like Hey Stephen.
Can feel this magic I've been feeling since I met you.
But it's also written about, you know, when that magic fades.
That magic's not here no more. I just wish I could forget when it was magic.
Can I just say how much I appreciate this line?
You took me by the hand and you picked me up at 6. Today was a fairy tale.
Sometimes in movies or TV shows now, they're like, I'll pick you up at 8. That is such a late time to be starting your date. It's obviously winter right now here in Australia and it's dark from like 4:30. You want me to sit around in the dark until 8 p.m. and then go out? No, that's insanity. 6 is perfect. I can see why this was a fairy tale.
Every move you make, everything you say is right. Today was a fairy tale. Time slows down whenever you're around.
This song was just so perfect for the Valentine's Day soundtrack. It feels like that movie. It feels so fitting that this song was chosen to close out the album. This kind of whimsical daydreaming is kind of the main theme of Fearless. You know, happy endings, princes, fairy tales, as well as watching those fairy tales fall apart. And this is something that we know will continue throughout her work in Long Live, Miss Americana, and even on Tortured Poets. By picking this to be the last song, the listener gets to hear Taylor have her hopes dashed and her heart broken, but ultimately watch her pick herself back up and end this album on an optimistic note, as Taylor tends to do. To me, this kind of perfectly concludes the album because it mirrors the opening track. You know, Fearless, the song, was written about the perfect first date Taylor hadn't had yet, and by this closing track, it feels like she's had it. I always loved the line, "You've got a smile that takes me to another planet," and only recently did I realize how well that parallels snow on the beach. Your eyes are flying saucers from another planet. Very cute. This song maybe even hints to her emotional maturity and view of love evolving a bit. Like she says, every move you make, everything you say is right. Today was a fairy tale. Saying that in a very complimentary way, reflecting on how perfect this love is. Comparing that to the way she sings on The Way I Loved You, about someone else that always said and did the right thing, and at that time was kind of like, but I want something less perfect and more messy. Maybe now here by the end, she's choosing to embrace that healthy love. Ultimately, it feels so fitting that Taylor is closing out the album with this track, since this kind of whimsical daydreaming and magic is such a core part of the Fearless album. You know, things like happy endings, princes, fairy tales, as well as watching those fairy tales fall apart. We know that this is a theme that will continue throughout her work on things like Long Live, Miss Americana, even Tortured Poets. By picking this to be the last song, it allows the listener to hear Taylor get her hopes dashed, her heart broken, yet ultimately pick herself up and end on an optimistic note, as Taylor so often does. Choosing to run the risk of getting your heart broken, but then always giving it another shot. And personally, I can't think of anything more fearless. That was corny, but true. Well, that brings us to the end of the original Fearless album. If you guys learned anything new today, give the video a like and don't forget to enter that giveaway. Now, if you would like to see where the story picks up from here, you can go ahead and watch the Speak Now deep dive. Or if you haven't seen me breaking down everything we missed on the Tortured Poets department 1 year later, you can watch that here. You can also subscribe if you haven't already, but thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I love you all and I will see you next time. Bye!
Is this what it feels like to grow